Hey, what's up? My name is Tackless, and today we're going to be looking at a tutorial from the game Destiny, kind of, in Project Spark. We're going to be doing the Titan Supercharge, the famously infamous supercharge that is extremely overpowered, especially in PvP. But it's cool, and I figured I was going to take two things that I have kind of been pretty negative about recently, the Hippo update and Destiny, and I was going to make a cool tutorial out of both of them. So, not screenshot, I'm going to show you what it does. So we've got our little charge meter in the corner. It charges up our supercharge, and when it's full, let me get a little bit of distance on these guys. There we go, like that. Now it's a little bit quicker than the Titan Supercharge, but there's a reason for that. So that's the idea of this attack. I think it's pretty cool. So let's get into it. This isn't a very hard video to do. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to take my person, go to the brain gallery, and do first person shooter. So we have this very generic looking brain, which is fine. What we're going to do is first we're going to create the charge meter, and then we're going to create the attack itself. But first we need to modify how the camera works just a little bit. We're going to have transition easing, flat easing, transition time, 0.5. Next, we're going to be doing the charge meter. So, countdown timer, 0.1, loop. You can do a number variable called supercharge. Increment up by 0.1. Next, when I need supercharge less than, and we're going to do 5 for this, but I'd really recommend if you make this an actual game mechanic, you make it much higher than 5, or make the charge rate much lower. When less than 5, we're going to display meter, supercharge, max number is 5. We're going to put this guy in the bottom left corner where the Destiny Supercharge is, though it sits on top of the shots and stuff like that. And then let's see. We're going to do... this is something that I think I totally overlooked in the Hippo update. They now added 3 different types of meters, which are awesome. I'm going to be using the... let's use the resource meter. This one has a nice little gradient to it, if I remember right. And we're going to make this one gray, because it is gray until it's fully charged. Then... oh, I forgot one last thing. This will keep the display from hiccuping a little bit. Priority is 0. Change that priority to whatever you need it to be. But for this tutorial, it's just going to be 0. Not less than. Greater than or equal to 5. Exact same thing, except in yellow. That way it turns yellow when it's charged up. You could also have text appear on the screen, supercharged, for like 3 seconds. Heck, let's do that. For the duration of 3 seconds. Display, and if I remember the formatting right, it was all caps with a lot of kerning in between it. So I'm going to see if I can see like that. S space space. There we go. And, oh, sorry about that. I didn't have my phone silenced. There we go. If I remember right, it was in screen center. But, I'm not going to put it there. I'm going to put it bottom left. Priority 1. This way it sits on top of this. And it is going to be yellow. If I can copy and paste that. And we're going to make the font size large. So, there's that. You could also throw a sound effect on it if you want, but I'm not going to get too detailed on it. So, then, make another line of code. When it's greater than 5, when, and I'm going to be doing the same control as in Destiny. You can do whatever you want. When left bumper and right bumper. Do switch page next page. Now, before we hop to the next page, there's something I'm going to do preemptively. What I'm going to do, make a Boolean variable called forward. Oh, not in all caps, though. Forward. And it's going to equal true. We'll get back to why this is here in just a second. So, on this page, this is our second page. Now, I had a fan talk to me recently asking about pages and how they functioned and how they insert pages. If you guys want a guide on how these pages work and what the rules are between these pages, leave a comment below. I'd love to do a video on that. So what we're going to do is we're going to copy and paste this camera, except we're going to make it a follow camera, and we're going to make it without controls. Next, we're going to do when, let's see, we're going to get right back to that variable, when forward equals true. Okay, first I'm going to go over just how to build this effect, and then when we're done building, I'll go over the aesthetics. So don't panic if it feels like I'm skipping sounds and effects and camera shake and vibration, stuff like that. So, when it equals true, move, not speed, in direction. There we go. Forward. Alright. Then, what we're going to do is we're going to countdown timer, let's do 0.25. Sounds about right. Started to jump. Now, because the jump in a supercharge uses different properties than a normal jump, what we're going to do is we're going to need to adjust the movement properties of the jump. So, jump height is going to equal, let's see if I can remember all my numbers, 2.5. And then I'm just going to copy and paste this for simplicity's sake. And in air horizontal speed will be 8. Now, when we set these properties on this page, it will make those the properties of all the pages. So we need to go back to the previous page, copy and paste both these properties, and set them back to normal. And I happen to know normal is about 6.5 in air horizontal speed and a 1.5 or I think it is 1.5 jump height. Either way, we just established this is normal. So whatever your normal jump speed and jump height is, that's what this needs to be. And then you'll need to increment this higher up or lower down, depending. So, okay, let's see. Next, when we hit the ground. So what we're going to do is when bump, and when we don't tell it what to look for bumping, it'll just bump any object, which is good, like a tree or anything. Or bump terrain. Now, I thought this was enough for a while, but after playing with this for a little bit, I also need to throw in when swimming. Because if you land in the ocean, you're not bumping an item, and you're not bumping the terrain, and you will be moving forward permanently without being able to adjust anything. So, when swimming, we're going to do forward equals false. Now, when forward equals false, this is where the fun starts to happen. I'm going to create quite a few child lines of code here. First, we're going to establish the enemies that we're going to be damaging here. So, objects closer than, and this is the range of your attack. This isn't going to do like a Minecraft type explosion, how the center of it does more damage than the outskirts. That's actually a really common explosion. That's not specific to Minecraft. But this is going to do an equal amount of damage to people who are barely caught in it or people at the epicenter. So, that's the way this is doing it. What you could do, well, nah, there's ways to get around that, but that would take more code than necessary. So what we're going to do, objects closer than 10, and now we need to establish a team, or else it'll think that that tree is also something you need to damage. Now we're going to create an object set variable called enemy group. That's not the keyboard's fault. That's, oh, I misspelled it. That's my fault for trying to type too fast. Enemy group equals them. Now, what we do this enemy group is all of our targets. So, what we're going to do is we're going to go to physics, push this group away from me with strength. This is how hard you want to push them. I'm going to do, I'm going to do 20 for extra effect. This is more, nah, never mind. If you want to do extra effect, you could do 20. 15's pretty strong push. The higher you go, the more ridiculous it gets. I mean, you can send them all the way across the entire map if you felt like it. Next, we're going to damage enemy group. And this number should be able to one-hit kill most grunts and do severe damage to your bosses. So I put 300. Then we're going to hologram enemy group. Because if you remember, when you kill someone with a supercharge in Destiny, they like kind of float up into the air and they glow and kind of dematerialize. Unfortunately, I couldn't figure out quickly how to make a generic enemy start to fly away when they are killed by this attack, and how to slow their pace down. So, I'm sure there's a way to do it, but I just didn't get to it for this tutorial. So, that's what the actual meat of it. And then, let's see. Lastly, we're going to do a countdown timer. 0.5. Switch page. Previous page. Now, one other thing we have to do here, somewhere on this page, so I like to put it near the top, is we need to establish that whenever this page is entered, the charge energy is reset to 0, or else you'd be instantly able to do this attack again. Alright, so this is how it functions. Let's make sure everything's functioning correctly. You know what, just occurred to me. If I leave this as is, it will immediately bump the terrain as soon as the attack begins, and that won't work out. So I'm going to need to move this to... Actually, I need to move this a little bit after the jump. So we're going to do a countdown timer 0.5. There we go. It's little things like that that'll get you hung up on your work for ages. Alright, so it's charging up, charging up, charging up. Isn't that a fancy user interface meter? I think it's pretty. Supercharge! That actually looks a lot like the text from Destiny. Then, there we go. Now, it looks like it instant supercharged again. So, not completely sure. Oh, I know what I did. I did this in a previous tutorial, or previous time when I recorded it. The name of the variable that I'm using in the tutorial is a slightly different name of the variable that I'm using during the recording. So, supercharge equals 0. I'll see if I can throw a annotation from the future on the screen earlier in the video. So, looks like everything's working fine. Now it's time to get into the aesthetics. This is what transforms it from a cool looking attack into something that looks like it's from Destiny. So first, we're going to add camera shake. Camera depth of field. We're going to add vibration, and because this is a big deal, we're going to bump the speed up to like 10. No, let's do 15. Let's make this really shake your controller. 20, that's as high as I've really played with. That'll make your controller feel like it's trying to kill itself. That is some serious vibration. So, what else? We're going to do the effects. So do play effect. And first we need to have little glowing orbs in each of his hands that leave trails behind him, which sounds like a perfect job for the spark. At socket. Let's see, left hand. We also need to copy paste this. And right hand. Now I also want my guy to glow. So we're going to change the socket to backside. And we're going to make this object not an in-world picker. We're going to make this just the light. Light energy. Here we go. So, light energy. This will give him that effect while he's flying. Now, while forward is equal to true, we're going to be playing a sound. So let's see, play sound, charge. Let's go with that one this time. And we're going to make it overlapping. And then, when forward equals false, we're going to be doing a technique that's actually used by Hollywood. We're going to be overlaying a bunch of different sound effects to create the one that we want. So we're going to go to explosion. That's all you really need to type to get to explosion. We're going to be overlaying a number of different sounding explosions. So I'm going to be quiet here for a second. Let's go with that one. That's a nice solid bang. Overlapping. Now I'm going to paste this 4 times. So we're going to pick 4 different sounds to have go off at once. So now I'm going to want something that kind of sounds like it has some debris or some crunching, cracking, shredding sound. That's not bad, but there's no glass in this environment. I like using that one if I'm going to make a massive scale explosion, because that gives the impression it's shattering glass from who knows how far away. That sounds good. Let's go with that one. So we got 2 down, 2 to go. Now these I want, because this is kind of a magically sound, I want this to be a magical explosion. Let's do that one. That's a nice bassy one. And then I want one, because these are all kind of lower down, kaboom kind of sounds. I want something that has a lot of, like a high sound to make it sound really sharp. I think I just heard it earlier. Let's do that one, yeah. All those together will make a much richer and deeper sound than what you would make just using one sound effect. Now, for this last effect, the actual impact, it is too complex to just have him, her, it, create it in code. We're going to create this as an object, which I have finished right here, but I'll show you how to do it. I use 3 effects. They're down in my dock right now. It's the Spark Exodus. I use this thing scaled way up. All right, there. I also use the Shield Break, and this one I also had scaled up a ways. Like that. And then I had the Explosion, and this was scaled up a bit, not a ton. That's a bit too much. Kind of like that. Now, I'm actually going to remove all 3 of these now. I was just showing you what effects I'm using. I'm going to go with the Explosion, and there's a few things we need to do with all these effects. Step 1. As you notice, they will repeat infinitely behind the scenes. That's kind of annoying, but it's more than annoying. It's what we don't want. What we're going to do is we're going to do power off. This will make the effect no longer work until it gets powered back on. Then we're going to go to the brain editor, and what we're going to do is power on. Now, in code, this will only make it activate once. Next, because this particular explosion is red, and if you look at the Titan Supercharge, his attack is not red. So we're going to go, not to brain editor, we're going to go to properties, appearance, effect gizmos, and we're going to turn all these things blue. Okay, so you can do that all you want. Make them all blue. If you want them a different color, you can make them a different color. Then I take them, scale them all up to about where I had them before, and make them all power off with the code power on until they're in about this formation. Then, using the multi-edit tool, grouping together. I'm really hoping you guys know how to do these independently. I should probably show how to do this. Okay, so just pretend that's recolored. We're going to place that. We're going to place this. Scale this up. There we go. And then the Spark Exodus, this is the biggest effect because this kind of makes a shockwave effect. Put it there. Multi-edit. Select them. Now be aware that the multi-edit tool can get kind of rambunctious and try to select lots of other not even nearby objects. So once you've done that, glue objects together, and you've got a little assembly that should look more like this than this. It should not have the codes or the effects activating. So I'm going to actually delete that. We're going to go to the finish group of effects, and we're going to put countdown timer 5 destroy. Now they'll only play once, and then they're kind of gone into the ether, but we're doing this just to remove these effect gizmos from the background. Then we need to go to properties, brain template true. It'll default to false. You need to set it to true. This way it can be created infinite times without disturbing the original. So let's get back to our player. Go to page 2. Go down to forward equals false. Started to. Create. In-world picker. Our effect, which is right here. There we go. So, this should be about everything. Don't you think? Alright, here we go. Because it's first person, I could be shooting them down, but I'm not going to. I'm supercharged. Jump in the air. It's really powerful. Now I overshot those guys, so I'm going to try to undershoot this guy. So, jump. Now the actual Titan ability does require him to jump a short distance, so I feel like that's kind of accurate, how you need to get in front of him a little bit and then hit it. There we go. So, there we go. I'm pretty happy with that effect. You can feel free to tweak the different numbers and settings and whatnot to make it more or less accurate if you think so. This is not looking into tutorial on how to, you know, when kills make you earn a little bit of your supercharge back faster. That's kind of on your own. But as you can see, I don't have to bump the terrain to activate this. I can bump a tree. Oh, well, that time I went all the way to the ground. But I could bump this rock here when it charges back up. And it'd go off. And more importantly, this is one of those features that you really have to think about. Something that you may never actually test. But you have to think, what will someone do eventually? They will go to the water. And they will supercharge into the water. And you can see, goes off in the water. No problem. But if we hadn't have added that swimming code, then they would be permanently swimming to the horizon until they fell off the edge of the world and were destroyed. Game over. That's kind of a problem. So, that's the tutorial. I hope you found this helpful. Man, I have a lot of tutorial requests on the way. So, get excited about that. Going to be looking at a couple of inventory tutorials. Going to be looking at, let's see, what else? I can't even remember them all right now. I've got them written down. So, look forward to that. I hope you guys enjoyed my Broken Minds trailer. And thank you all very much for 100 subscribers. I finally reached that milestone. Well, most people wouldn't consider it a milestone, but I do. I'm really happy about it. If you've noticed, I've never really pushed very hard in my videos for subscribers. I'm not one of those people who starts their videos out, "Hey everyone, if you want, like my video and subscribe." I'm not one of those kind of people, not to hate on squeakers at all. But I feel like if I get subscribers, it should be purely from my skill and my performance, not because I guilt-tripped you into it. So, thank you all very much for subscribing. I hope that I can get more subscribers in the future, make a lot more cool videos, and make things that you guys want. So, thanks for watching. I will see you guys.